and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video. And today we're going to be taking a close look at Luis Suarez and his misfortunes as the season has started, because clearly as the season has gone on, he's not looked himself, he's not looked the phenomenal striker that we know that he can be. And in this video in particular, we're going to be taking a look at himself in the present, also what he's given us in the past, why he deserves time to show himself, but looking to the future, is there a chance that we can really see that real Luis Suarez emerge once again and shock the world with his football talents? We're going to be looking at all that and more in this video, and we're going to start most importantly with where his mind is at right now. And that's the most important thing for me when you're talking about Luis Suarez. The one thing that I really don't want people to be saying, and the one thing that I really don't want to be hearing, particularly in the comments, guys, is really going after him in terms of hating on him, really giving him abuse. I think what he's done in his career, we're going to be looking over that in just a minute, what he's given us so far in his Barcelona career really commands a bit of respect. That's what he deserves first and foremost. It doesn't matter what happens from here on in, whether his form continues to go downhill, whether things get worse for him, he always deserves that respect, because the one thing that you can guarantee with Luis Suarez is his work rate. He is always going to give you 110% every single game. He is going to try his best for the team, and you can never doubt that. Even if he's very, very bad, which recently in some games he's been dreadful, he's always given his all and he's always trying. You cannot fault him for that. The one thing that you will say though is that the big clubs, the super clubs, the Barcelonas, you've got to be ruthless. If a player isn't performing, if somebody is in the team who's really letting us down, there comes a time when you've got to say, should he remain in the team? And most importantly, should we be looking at replacements in the future for Luis Suarez? Right now I would hold fire on that. I think right now we're entering a big run of form which has not been great for him. I think in the future, he's 31 years old in January, we are going to be looking at replacements in terms of a big striker next summer. Antoine Griezmann has been mentioned, other players will be. I think that's, inevitable though. With any player, as you get older, you're going to be looking to be replaced. That's the nature of the game. Suarez will understand that. But I think right now, we've got Suarez in our team, the transfer window isn't open, we've got to stand by our man, we've got to give him the patience that he deserves, and most importantly, give him that respect that he has certainly earned over his time here, in cementing himself definitely as one of the greatest strikers to ever play for this fantastic club. So like I said, what I want to start with in this video is taking a look back at his time with Barcelona, what he's given us, and why for me he really has earned that respect, and what he can do given the right service, given the right positioning. This is what he's capable of and what he's shown in previous seasons. He joined in the 2014-15 season, he joined in a very difficult circumstances. Of course, you all remember he bit Chiellini at the World Cup, he was banned from football for a number of months, he couldn't make his debut for a long time, and when he did, he wasn't match fit. And I have to say, that start that he had with us all those years ago, when he first put on that Barcelona shirt, is actually very, very reminiscent of what we're seeing from Suarez now. The Suarez that appeared in the 14-15 season, you remember he made his debut in El Clasico, and he didn't look physically fit, he didn't look physically ready to take on the challenge of a hectic season at Barcelona. And that's what you kind of see with him now, whether it's an injury right now, whether it's just a general fitness issue, he doesn't quite look right physically to take on the challenges that are coming towards him thick and fast. And that's what you could say when he first joined the club. When he first joined the club, he went on a run of games where he didn't score, he was playing out wide, which is another problem, the positioning. I'm going to be coming onto that later. He was playing out wide. It was only when he came inside then, when Lionel Messi swapped with him, that we started to see the very best Suarez. In his first season, of course, the treble winning season in Luis Enrique's first year, 27 La Liga appearances, 16 goals, 7 assists. In the Copa del Rey, 6 appearances, 2 goals, 4 assists. In the Champions League, 10 appearances, 7 goals and 3 assists to his name. Later on then, of course, that summer after his first season, we won the UEFA Super Cup. Later on in that year, in 2015, we won the Club World Cup. And Suarez's first season at Barcelona was outstanding given the circumstances. But the second season for me, that 15-16 season when we did the double with Luis Enrique, we won the league, we won the cup, he was absolutely phenomenal in that league. He won the Pichichi Award and he was magnificent. 35 La Liga appearances, 40 goals and 19 assists. In the Copa del Rey, 4 appearances, 5 goals, 1 assist. Champions League, 9 appearances, 8 goals and 4 assists. In the Club World Cup as well, 2 appearances, 5 goals. He scored in the UEFA Super Cup as well. And like I say, in that season, he really was outstanding. Last season, his stats were still very, very good. I think even last season, though, particularly towards the tail end of it, you could see possibly a little bit of deterioration from Suarez. His performances at times weren't always at the very high level that we come to expect from him. In La Liga, 35 appearances, 29 goals, 15 assists. In the Copa del Rey, 6 appearances, 4 goals and 1 assist. And in the Champions League, he was less prolific, 9 appearances, 3 goals and 4 assists. And that season, of course, under Luis Enrique, his final year, we won the Copa del Rey, of which Luis Suarez missed the final. And of course, in these years that I'm speaking about, his goal scoring record was absolutely sensational. As a centre forward, as a striker, in these years, you talk about Lewandowski, you talk about all those strikers, Luis Suarez was undoubtedly the best striker in the world. There was no question about it. But the thing with him was, it wasn't just about goals, and that's really, really important, because looking at Luis Suarez now, people are obviously criticising him for not putting away his chances, but that's not the most glaring thing for me. Luis Suarez right now is getting the chances, he's missing them, things aren't going right for him, and sometimes he just doesn't have the luck, but they're not going in. But that's not the biggest thing. It's not always been about goals with Suarez. He's such a good player as an all-rounder, and I just don't see where that's gone. You look at him in the 15-16 season, and last season as well, he had the most La Liga assists of any player. He is more than just a striker. He's more than just a finisher. I would never ever call Suarez a clinical finisher. Even in the treble-winning season, even the season after that, he had chances, basic chances, that he would miss, but none of us minded, because all-round, his all-round game was sensational. You think about Karim Benzema at Real Madrid, people say, he doesn't score enough goals, but he brings other players into the game. He creates chances. Luis Suarez was doing all that and more. You think of him in that season we won the Champions League, his turn on Benatia in the Champions League against Bayern. It was a sensational piece of skill. He skipped past David Luiz for the goals against PSG. He embarrassed David Luiz. He was an agile player. He was quick thinking. He was good on the ball. His first touch was immaculate. That's the Suarez that I really miss. That player who was capable of taking the ball on and running with it, taking on players. His first touch was good. His passing was good as well. He was an exceptional player as a centre forward in bringing others like Messi, like Neymar into the game. And that's the biggest question for me. Can he recapture that side of his game? Because of course, like I say, in January he will be 31 years old. He's 30 years old now. As he goes on, he has lost a bit of pace. There's no doubt about that. Right now, he's not as quick as he was. He hasn't got that quick acceleration that maybe he once did. So the question for me is, where exactly has it gone wrong for Suarez, and can we expect to see that kind of player return in the near future? And particularly if we look at this season's stats, you look at him in La Liga, 8 appearances, 3 goals so far and 1 assist. In the Champions League so far, he's made 4 appearances and he's yet to score a single goal. And he also appeared in the Super Cup against Real Madrid at the start of the season, 2 appearances in that and no goals. And that is the most important thing for me. It was that second leg of the Super Cup, which for me, this season, the problem started for Luis Suarez. It was against Real Madrid, of course. It was the last 10 minutes, and Luis Suarez clearly picked up a knee injury. It looked like an impact injury. It looked like maybe it wouldn't be that serious, but he was clearly in some pain, and the reason being, we'd used all 3 of our substitutes, so he actually stayed on the pitch for the last 10 minutes of that game, potentially aggravating that injury, and then afterwards, we heard the news that he was going to be out for around 5 weeks with a bad knee injury. And what happened then for me is make or break Suarez this season. He actually returned early from that injury, and that's no surprise to me, because we all know Luis Suarez, he's an absolute warrior. He would run through a brick wall for your team if he thought it would benefit the team, and that's what he'll do. So that injury, you can imagine him, he was working so hard to get back, and that's exactly what he did. He came back from the injury nearly 2 weeks early, so a very, very, very quick recovery from Luis Suarez, and possibly a premature recovery. What he wanted to do, of course, was to take part in Uruguay's World Cup qualifying campaign, and that's exactly what he did. What he did do, though, was return for me too early. Clearly, right now, he is not recovered from that injury. There's been a lot of rumours about a cyst in his knee. Apparently, right now, he is still playing with a niggling injury. And again, that wouldn't surprise me either. We don't really have a backup striker that we can rely on, or at least we thought we didn't, until Valverde decided to play Paco Alcacer on the weekend, who showed that possibly he could be a good deputy for Suarez. And the reason being, he has not had surgery on that knee, and he still might not until possibly January, possibly even next summer. We don't definitely know. There's an actual problem with his knee, but that's what the reports are saying. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was, because he's the kind of guy who can play through an injury. He'll grin and bear it. He'll go through the pain barrier if he needs to, because that's the attitude that he has. That's the attitude that he's always had on the pitch. He's always been a warrior. He's always been a fighter, and he'll do anything for the team. So when you look at his lack of form, you could potentially pin it on that knee injury, that niggling injury, and that could still be something that he's currently carrying. But the big thing for me, the monumental problem for Luis Suarez right now, is the formation. And I think we all highlighted it when we looked at Lionel Messi playing in that false nine role. Messi is so good, but there's no doubt about it, that impacts Luis Suarez. He is having to play right now a lot wider than he feels comfortable with. I mentioned when he first joined the club, he was playing out on the wide right, and he wasn't good there, he wasn't himself, and it wasn't until Messi went out to the right and Suarez into the middle that things really clicked for him. And I think that's the problem right now. He's having to play wide, he's got even less pace now than he did when he arrived, he's not comfortable playing there, he's not getting the space that he usually does, and also taking into account the loss of Neymar and then the loss of Dembele. The loss of Neymar for Suarez is absolutely massive, and you cannot really put a tag on that, because when you got Messi, Suarez and you got Neymar all in the front three, no matter who you are in there, you're going to get space, because either Messi or Neymar are going to take the defenders away from you, and Suarez then would have got more space. Neymar is not there anymore, the defenders are more preoccupied on Messi and on Suarez, and for that matter, he's not getting enough space to do what he wants to do with the ball. And then of course you bring in Dembele. In their very first game together against Espanyol, you saw the effects of having somebody like Dembele, that blistering pace. Dembele keeps his width, he stretches the defence. Dembele in that first game assisted Suarez. It looked like a combination that was going to be very successful, and of course then it's taken away. Dembele gets injured, Suarez's space is restricted again, and he's again playing a bit wider than he really should be. But I think it's not just the formation, it's the fact that the formation keeps changing. I think if Ernesto Valverde stuck with a 4-3-3, if Suarez is going to play a bit wider, at least he could get used to it. Maybe at some point he could actually adapt to that role, but he's not being kept in the same position over and over again. One match is being pushed out wide, on the weekend he was more central, but he was playing with Paco, that's never really been tried before. Other times he's played with Messi in a 4-4-2, sometimes it's a 4-2-3-1. We're not really keeping a consistent shape, and for Suarez playing in an unfamiliar position, it's very difficult to adapt yourself to that when you're constantly changing. So I think if we can actually get ourselves a set formation, that could be a massive help for Luis Suarez. The other thing that I think could potentially help Luis Suarez is something that I mentioned just a few minutes ago, Paco Alcacer. We saw him on the weekend, he came on, he started the game, he scored 2 very good goals, he won us the game with those goals, and actually Alcacer's emergence could really put a spark on Luis Suarez and could really urge him to bring his A game, because he knows now there's somebody over his shoulder, somebody who's scoring goals, somebody who's confident, that is going to be trying to take his spot, and maybe that will put some life into him and really put some determination in him to go out there and really show his best form, to stamp his authority on this team and keep his place at the heart of our attack. But the final thing that I'm going to say, and the most important thing I think for Luis Suarez right now, is these next 2 weeks. He has made the very intelligent decision not to go on international break with Uruguay. They've excused him. Suarez requested not to go. They accepted that. He's now got 2 weeks. He can relax, he can work in the gym, he can get himself where he needs to be to kick off the rest of the international break. When we come back, he can be in his best physical shape of the season. This is a massive 2 weeks for him, and reports say, Sport said yesterday, that he spent a lot of the day in the gym. He was doing really intense workouts, he was trying to get himself in the best physical condition possible. After he finishes in the gym, he can go home, he can relax, he can have some days off. That's what he needs to do. In these 2 weeks now, he needs to sit himself down, get himself in the right physical shape, but the most important thing as well, the right mental shape. Sport used the word yesterday of a mental reset, and I think that is exactly what Suarez needs. He needs to shut himself down, he needs to start the season again, and he needs to start fresh. He is a good player, he's got such good qualities, he's shown that over the years. You don't lose that overnight. I don't care what anybody says, you do not lose all that ability in one go. It just doesn't happen. I do think Suarez can come back, I really do, whether that's just empty hope speaking, whether it's the fact that I'm very attached to Luis Suarez after what he's given to us, but I really do deep down believe that Luis Suarez can kick on if he uses these 2 weeks in the right way. Get working on himself, get working on his head, shut himself down, give him some relaxing time, and I really hope and I really pray that at the end of this international break he is ready to go and we can see once again the emergence of the real Luis Suarez. But of course, as always guys, I want to know your thoughts. Let me know down below your thoughts on Suarez in general. Do you think he can come back? Should we be looking at replacements? Is there a potential to do both? Let me know your thoughts down below guys. I will see you for more videos very soon. But until then, as always, Vasca el Barça. Barça!